Welcome to the Northern Powerhouse interview series, where we're unashamedly spreading good news by interviewing Northern businesses and their successes during the pandemic. Subscribe to be notified of new interviews or click the link in the description to take part if you'd like to be interviewed yourself in a future episode.
Good afternoon and welcome to Northern Powerhouses Business Success Stories. So this Friday afternoon we have Seàn Doyle with us, who is the Managing Director at Thermac over in Leeds and Glasgow, I believe. So thank you ever so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Can we just start off, Seàn, by asking you to introduce yourself properly to us, and can you tell us a little bit more about you guys, where you're based and what you do for your clients?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Vicky. My name's Seàn Doyle. As you said, I'm the Managing Director of Thermac Hire. We're based in Leeds, Glasgow and Milton Keynes, and we specialise in construction, in specialist equipment in the construction and hazardous equipment sectors. So we provide equipment to companies that are carrying out projects across asbestos removal, mould, land demolition, various sectors in that area. Predominantly, we're a hire business, so we have particular pieces of plant and equipment that we will hire out to companies. We have a servicing division of all of that plant and equipment as well, where we will service people's equipment, and we also bolster that offering with consumables and raw materials that are required to go with that, such as face masks, coveralls, disposable towels, filters, etc. All the things that complement our offering. So we have we're around about a £6 million turnover per year, and we have 35 employees generally.
Brilliant. Now this might seem like a really silly question or a really obvious question to ask. The PPE side of your business, has that gone crazy over the last year?
Yeah, everyone always says this to me. Oh, you specialise in PPE and RPE, so coveralls and suits and masks will be fantastic, and you must have made a killing. Well, the reality is, if we had a crystal ball and we had known what was going to happen, yes, we would have been. But we took a decision very early on, which some of, I suppose, our competitors didn't. We took a decision that we weren't going to be in a position to supply the NHS, if you like, with everything they needed. I mean, the government, are there to obviously try and do that, and that was a huge operation. So we certainly weren't going to be able to do it. One of the things we were very conscious to do, and one of the things our clients asked us early on was, were we confident that we could support our industry and our sector? And the decision we took was sell everything off now and get rich for a short period of time, or actually just see the bigger picture that, this is something that we need to be here afterwards as well. And we need to look after our clients, retain our clients, look after our industry and our sector, make sure that they could carry on. And then make sure that from our supply chain point of view, we could actually get the materials into the country and support our businesses first and foremost. And I think that paid off, really. The feedback we've had 12 months on is we were there. We never closed our doors. We never ran out of equipment or products. We serviced our customers. We did a similar turnover to what we always do. So we were happy with that, really. And our suppliers were happy, because we didn't suddenly go to them and go, oh, by the way, can we buy 4 times what we normally buy? Because that would just be stockpiling and putting them under pressure. So I went to my suppliers early and told them that we were planning on just carrying on as business as usual, and we needed what we need. Now, a lot of suppliers said they would only give customers their usual run rates of stock and materials, and we never asked for any more or any less. And we managed to maintain a steady supply of everything we needed because of that. So I think the first lesson in all of that was set your stall out early and prove the benefit of loyalty and trust and relationships over the years. We made a commitment to our clients when we started all those years ago, and people who've been with us a long time, that we would look after them, we would value the business, and we vice versa. And we feel we've held our end of the bargain there. And from our supply chain, they've been fantastic as well, because they didn't let us down either, because we aren't the type of company that just always look for the cheapest price product or anything like that. We accept that things cost what they cost. It's the quality as one service. And really, when we needed it, they stood up to the plate, and we, kind of showed you that actually building relationships last, and that's when people really perform.
Brilliant. So can you tell us about some of the challenges that you guys have had to overcome over the last 12 months?
Yeah, well, I suppose the first one is supply chain. That's probably the hardest. Exhausting every avenue you've got, trying to forecast early what you need and what you don't need. You need a bit of luck as well. that potentially we had some orders in pre this happening that managed to be delivered. And then kind of, I suppose the first challenge really probably everybody faced was March 17th, I think it was, around last 2020. We're going into lockdown, and it's, what do you do? You probably react like we all did initially, and the government said they would support companies and furlough, etc. So we took the decision that, like most, that things are either going to slow down to almost nothing or close. And you end up getting all your staff together, and you have to tell them that you're actually putting them on furlough. And while you know in your heart that they're getting paid, and you're not, it's not like you're letting them go or whatever, it still feels like that. And you just kind of stood there, and they're looking for, they want answers, and you can't give them the answers. So we set out.
Oh, I've lost you, Sean.
Oh, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah. You're back.
Yeah. So we took a decision early to furlough, and to do what we felt was right. We communicated early with our clients and asked them what their intentions were. Now, because of the type of industry we're in, particularly with asbestos removal, that type of industry relies on empty buildings anyway and working in isolation. So what they found out early was there was a lot of projects that could actually carry on and probably get done because the buildings were now going to be empty. So we established early that a lot of our customers were going to be able to carry on. We weren't sure what level they could carry on to. They were going to be there, and they needed us. So skeleton crew, but also we established early our staff as well that we wanted to, while we were furloughing them, we were going to communicate regularly. So we set up a series of WhatsApp groups, Teams calls, Zoom, things like that. And we had calls every couple of days to just, even if we didn't have an update, just to check in on people, get a group update, tell everybody, for those who were still in, what they were doing and what we were up to. And just to try and keep it as normal as we could. So that's one of the things we tried to do, because the challenge there is people, and obviously a lot of people struggle being at home, possibly, and with everything else being closed, it's a boring time, and actually people were ringing all the time saying, I want to come back to work, I want to come back to work. So that was kind of the first challenge. Second challenge after the supply chain. But and then the third challenge really was sort of what we needed to do to just keep kind of business as usual going, and recalculating our forecast for stock and materials, recalculating what staff we had. Could we put rotas in place where we could allow people to be furloughed for a period of time and then change them out and bring other people back? And the one thing I personally did was I decided that I was going to restructure the business prior to the pandemic anyway. So it gave me a great opportunity to actually go into certain parts of the business and actually work in there. So typically, I suppose leaders and managing directors would never do, and you'd never really get a chance in your normal job and time, because you just wouldn't have the time to go into them areas and actually go and do the job, and understand maybe the frustrations that the staff have with systems or processes and why it doesn't work, just because we from a management level might think it works. It might not in practice, in reality. Or just to confirm what you already knew, that actually it does work and they just need to follow the processes and the systems. So we use that as a really big opportunity to restructure. And while that's a challenge because it meant we had to physically roll our sleeves up and go in and do it, it gave all my senior managers an opportunity to do that. And also to ask senior managers to do that because, as you know, with furlough, you furlough somebody on 80% or who's on a relatively 20 to 30 grand wage is fine because they won't see a big loss there. When you're talking about some managers who are on a bigger wage, that 20% is a big drop. So while I suppose in reality people go, well, we'll just furlough your most expensive people. That in reality that's not how it works. So we took the time to say to the managers, you need to go back into the business. You need to work in the business. And actually, it's given them a massive eye-opener into what we were doing. And I can tell you now, 12 months on, we don't do half the things that we used to do, or we've changed and streamlined the processes. And actually, our business is probably in a far healthier position. We've actually grown, but without taking on more staff. So what we've managed to do is make people work smart and very efficiently. And we only did that because of the opportunity that was presented to us. So it's kind of taken a negative and turned it into a positive, I suppose.
Brilliant. How have you sort of managed that change process with everything else that was going on and the furlough and the uncertainty and to embark then on a restructure? How did you guys as a leadership team manage that with the team to keep them sort of bought in and engaged with everything that was going on?
So for the ones who remained, it was quite easy because we could obviously set a plan with them. We were there. For the ones, as I said, who were on furlough, we quickly. So first thing we had to do within the company was revert everyone who was working from home to laptops if they didn't have them already, phones, tablets, etc. So we had to outlay some capital. Which at the time when you're kind of going batten down the hatches and don't spend anything, we thought, no, we need to do this. It's the right thing to do. Made sure everyone had communication means and we rolled out teams across the business very quickly. So the intention was to roll it out pre this, but it was baby steps. When it happened, we said, right, just get it out. We need to get it out. And everyone, it's been Zoom and Teams has been probably one of the biggest tools that we found useful. As I said earlier, we got WhatsApp groups going. We got everybody on Teams and Zoom calls. We carried on as business as usual. We set up a series of online training courses through a training partner. And we said to people, while you're off, you can train. So do some online training. So we set them targets of certain training courses we wanted them to do, whether it was health and safety awareness or noise and HAV assessments or whatever it might be. And we got them to do all them. So we used the opportunity to get some training done. And we carried on doing the monthly manager meetings and we carried on doing the weekly meetings. Even though people weren't in the business, we said, look, from a training element and from a communication element, we will still do them. We will still log on. We'll still talk about them. And we'll still outline all the things that we're trying to achieve and do. And really, it was just about the communication side of it. Just making sure everybody felt that, well, I think, first of all, we cared.
Yeah.
And probably we recognized how difficult it was for people to be furloughed because I'm sure it was I know it's a big challenge for lots of people. So we wanted to recognize that we knew it wasn't easy. As much as probably, so we say, well, sit at home and get paid 80%. It's not the reality, is it? And so to show them we cared, but then also to show them that they had something to come back to. We were committed to the bit. We're committed to we would get through this, and we were committed to the fact that we come out of it stronger, and that we as a business we were willing to put some profits back in to say let's do the things that we wanted to do in 12, 18 months time. Do them now, and I suppose that's brave, really, from management in the sense of committing to that spend when you're not really sure of what's going to happen, but thankfully it was the right thing to do. And we recently put out a survey to all of our staff only 2 weeks ago, just asking them about how they feel we were 12 months ago to where we are now. And some of them results have been really interesting. We asked things like about how do they feel they perform working at home, what distractions are there, is it easier, are they more productive? And one of the really strong things that came through from the survey, and we did it across the group, not just Thermac. So I think we got if we said 100 people replied to the survey in a group of 500, and we only did it for the office staff, particularly because they're the ones who had to go work from home. And one of the things that really came through very strongly was the business felt that across all of the group, with all of the directors and our chief exec, that we had showed strong leadership and direction, even if sometimes we probably didn't know what we were doing. And then secondly, we were very clear that we had a plan how we were going to get through this, and that everybody had a role, and everybody would have a role to come back to. And thirdly, that the communication, everybody felt that we communicated more than adequately. Got them involved in things that maybe we didn't have to, but felt, let's get that involvement out there.
Brilliant. So for you as a leader, how do you feel you've had to adapt over the last year? How have you changed as a leader?
I think because there's no plan, there's no, you can go, I've got a business degree, and you don't get taught anything about a pandemic in that. So you kind of, I think the first thing to say is try and not control the things you can't control, and kind of that straight away takes away the panic, because if you can't control it, and if you don't really know how it's going to end up just day by day, it obviously, the one thing this has taught us is every time we taught, there was like at the end of the government put a different announcement out, or we had to do something, or there was a new rule, or there was a new something we couldn't do. So try not to sweat the small stuff, I'd probably say was one of the biggest things. And before that, I probably liked to feel in control of most of things, but I learned very quickly that you can't control that. Secondly, given my people more responsibility, and allowing them to express themselves, because I didn't have the answers always, and between us, I think we got the answers. So I think allowing them to express themselves, and I think just probably just trying to adapt every day, and trying to still carry on as best you can with your same vision, your same plan. Always remember the end goal of where you still want your business to be. Maybe recalculate your budgets and your finances, and set yourself new goals, because they might have to be revised. But have goals, have plans. I think it was very important as well. This isn't kind of a pat ourselves on the back, but I think it's very important that the managers and the leaders showed up every day, and they went to work every day, and they were in the business every day, because they could see it, they could feel it, they could breathe it. I think I mentioned to you earlier, a bit like a captain on a ship, and you should be the last one off. I think that's probably what strong leaders should do. Even if you don't have all the answers, be there and be prepared to roll your sleeves up and get involved. And in actual fact, that probably allowing staff to open up more and tell you what their challenges are and what their issues are, and if you can help them and control it and do something about it, great. If you can't, just listen and understand. And clients, listening to clients, listen to what they need and what they don't need. And just adapt the business, and probably learn now that, probably a lot of wasted journeys, meetings that we could have done Zoom, Teams, maybe. A lot of maybe corporate client entertainment, and of course we'd like to get back to a level of it, and go out and meet people and play golf and do other things and whatever. But probably just there's a balance now, isn't there, with a lot of things. And I think we had to go fully online, which probably isn't the balance at all. But we need to get back to some normality. And I think there's a balance. One of the things we've done in our business is we've now allowed everybody to work from home 2 days a week as we start to, and we will continue to allow them to do that. Now they don't have to. Some people have said, "Oh, I don't want to."
Yeah, I just want to get back.
So you don't have to. But what we said is you can do 2 days a week at home, no problem. We do things as a balance because we've set our businesses and our infrastructures up for people to be in the office. And because it's a very operational business, people do need to be there. But we've realized that if it means for them 2 days a week that our employees can, on them, the kids to school, pick them up, maybe not work 100%, but have it. If they take their foot off the gas for a little bit on them couple of days, that's fine. You know, if that means that we're a more attractive business to work from, to work with, and for employees value that as much as we value them, then it's win-win for me, because I think I'll get the productivity anyway. And a lot of commutes, maybe, you know, if I can reduce further from our kind of CO2 responsibility and our you know, our environmental responsibility, taking some cars off the road a couple of days a week where there are unnecessary journeys, people driving into work or whatever, when they can work from home. If every business can do that to a certain level, then I think we're all helping the environment as well.
Definitely. I mean, just about everybody that I speak to is saying the same thing in terms of remote working, that, you know, it's something that it's an adaptation that we've all had to make, and that they're likely to keep for maybe 2 or 3 days a week moving forward, and allow that flexibility for your employees. And it does make you an attractive employer. You know, we all have families, and, you know, being able to have that little bit of give and take. And I think over the last year, I think one of the things that we've all demonstrated is that we are productive at home. We don't need to be chained to a desk 9 till 5, and that we can all work really hard and meet our objectives. And yeah, it's definitely a common theme that I'm hearing, is it's as we emerge into the new normal, this is something that people are going to embrace and keep hold of.
Yeah, I think also though, so, you know, when I look at our, for example, our IT platforms, there are certain things that are geared towards being in the offices to do, like downloading large reports or things like that, where you need your infrastructure to support you. But you're dead right. There's a balance, and, you know, if everybody can do 2 or 3 days, I mean, everybody demonstrated in our business that they could work from home 5 days a week.
Yeah.
There was obviously certain things they couldn't do, but we got through it and we survived. So we think the 2 days is a start. And again, it's that flexibility to say, yeah, you've demonstrated you can do this. So carry on.
Brilliant. So with everything that you guys have learned over the last year, if you could go back to last March, what might you have done differently or done sooner?
Tough question. If we could go back to last March, I think the one thing we probably would have done sooner and quicker is the rollout of technology, particularly in our industry. While we all know we need an IT infrastructure and we all need computers and systems to work on, I think we've been very slow over the last few years to get on board with the virtual meetings. Because probably just out of habit and routine, you know, we've always drove there, or we've always gone to see them, or we've always had that meeting in person. You know, and we've kind of gone, yeah, it's the right thing to do. We'll roll Teams and Zoom out eventually, and we'll link it with Microsoft 365, and we'll do this and we'll do that. But yeah, we were talking about rolling it out probably in 2019, and we had a plan, and it's kind of, we did it in 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And our plan was to do it over 12 months originally. So it's kind of like, you know, why did we mess about with that? So I think we probably should have done that quicker. And it shouldn't have took a pandemic for us to realize that there was probably a lot of wasted time that we spend on visits that we could have done in face-to-face. The other thing, which our business in particular was very slow to do, and we've done it now, is I probably should have mentioned it in one of the good things we did, was we turned the business paperless.
Did you?
And we did it in a couple of months. Now the reason, obviously, we all of our plant is barcoded, all of our stock, etc., is all scanned in and scanned out. But we used to print out physical pick lists and give them to the stores. They'd pick it and hand it to the driver. The driver would get it signed. I mean, when you think about that, and the time alone, and the paper and the printing and the passing papers and the scanning and whatever, it's just nonsense. I mean, we had an app on our system. It had a supported app that we were never using. I think we were paying for it, embarrassing to say, but not using it. And we started using it, and we trained everyone overnight, and we just went paperless. And people went working from home and they didn't have access to printers, and they soon realized that actually all them things I used to print, I don't need to. And we gave everybody a second screen or a second monitor or a third monitor. And it's quite funny now when I see people back in the office and they've all got their 3 screens and 3 monitors, and they don't print anything. And in actual fact, I got rid of the printers, but we're going paperless, and we only kept scanners because we sometimes get suppliers who give us physical delivery notes. But nobody prints anything anymore, and everybody's learned how to be efficient and use different things. So 2 things probably, if I could rewind, I would, because I thought that's changing a mindset. You know, if someone's always printed something, that's trying to change a habit. And as we all know with habits, whether it's, you know, bicycles or whatever it might be, and they take forever to change. So I thought this is going to take a long time to change this habit. With printing and things, and actually by just not being able to do it, it just changed. It just stopped. So I would have certainly pushed us. Probably more our environmental responsibility. I would have changed quicker. You know, I would have rolled out the virtual meetings quicker, and I certainly would have looked at our systems with regards to physical printing, scanning, signing things, passing pieces of paper around the place, and just moved us to a more efficient business quicker. So I'd love to have done that sooner. I mean, however, you could argue if you go glass half full, we took it as a positive. It's an opportunity to change and do it now and never go back, type thing. So yeah, that'd probably be it. Brilliant.
And what does the future hold for you guys? What exciting things are you allowed to tell us about?
So, well, yeah, we're an open book. So we launched a new e-commerce platform last September. We were working on that. So we took the time to, instead of furloughing a couple of people, we put them on the e-commerce project. Again, a cost. It was something we were going to roll out over a period of time, but we moved our business to an e-commerce platform where we allowed people to do online ordering. So they could log on, order their products, and they'd be delivered the next day. So again, that made us efficient. So that's launched. That's there for everyone to see. It's www.thermac.com. A live site, fantastic. We love the end result, and we're adding to it. We took on a marketing manager in September last year. So again, we showed the business, even at a time when some people were on furlough, that we were still recruiting because we had a plan. And we took on a new marketing manager, and that's showing great results. And you know, again, we talk about the power of technology. Because we hire a lot of machines and equipment, people would ring us all the time and say, "Oh, I don't quite know how to work this, or I don't know this, or I don't know that." We now have videos, user guides that are hosted on our platform, so you can just log on and it's got a video that shows you how to turn a machine on and how to clean it out and how to do whatever. So before, that would have been an engineer driving to site to show the client how to do something. Yeah. So that's been fantastic. We opened Milton Keynes last year as well, which was an expansion to our business. So that was another positive. Again, all done during a time when is this the right thing or the wrong thing? But it was always something we wanted to do, and we felt we were stable enough to do it. We've developed some new innovations. We've developed an electric decontamination welfare unit. So one of our shower units, we've made it fully electric. So we've got rid of the typical gas, LPG gas and diesel option, and we've now got a fully electric version. So again, our environmental carbon footprint, we looked at how could we advance our technology. And we've developed some other pieces of plant and equipment within the business. So we took the time with research and development to actually look at some of our equipment and say, can we make some improvements and advances? So probably to answer your question, and I've done it in a very long-winded way. There is we've grown. We've put the foundations in for expansion. We did it. We took a risk, and thankfully, at the start of April, we've had a very strong first quarter, and our order book's good. Our results so far are good, and all of our staff are now back in the business, and People say to me, and it's probably the biggest testament to what we've done over the last 12 months. People always say to me now, "Do you remember when we used to do this? Do you remember when we used to do that?" And I think it isn't actually that long ago that you did all that printing, but it feels like a long time to people, and they would never go back now. And the biggest thing for me is we've expanded without actually having to take on a huge amount of staff, which has meant they're calculated risks, because if we can get more productivity out of our current staff by making them more efficient and work smart, obviously it makes our business more profitable. It also makes us more efficient, and we can provide a better service to our clients. But also, it's some job security for our current staff, that we haven't had to spend and invest a huge amount of money to be able to do all these things. We've just looked at areas where we were maybe wasting money and decided to put that into areas where it was actually going to be beneficial to the business. So I always argue to people whenever they say to me about how do you do expansion, and I always say, well, you have to give and take. So if you're going to give everybody 2 and 3 screens and monitors, then they have to give me something back, and that will be a commitment that they don't print as much. Yeah. If we're going to be more efficient with how our engineers travel around the country and why they go around the country, then if we're going to invest in training videos, then we have to then look at educating our customers and actually saying, if we do the training videos correctly, you should be able to follow this, which should reduce our time coming out on breakdowns all the time, or whatever it might be. So I always work on the balance of give and take. If I want to achieve something, where am I going to get that from, and what am I going to stop doing to achieve that? Because you need capital to do it, so you've got to generate from some, and you also need time. And most of us will probably confirm that there isn't enough hours in the day sometimes. As it is. So if you're going to do more, you need to be able to make the most use of the time you have. And sometimes, again, that means passing tasks on to staff and giving them more responsibility, which a lot of mine, when I've done that, I've flourished and grown and embraced it, and so I've probably done it better than me. And that's allowed me time to actually focus for working on the business, as opposed to in it. Going into the business during the pandemic was something I wanted to do because I wanted to understand it more, but I've now come back out of it, and I now spend my time working on it. And it keeps you very level and grounded, and it keeps you very clear on what you're trying to achieve. But while also allowing others to flourish in their roles and develop. So it's been all round. This might sound strange to say, but it's been a very positive experience, more than it's been a challenging experience. And I love a challenge, so it wasn't something any of us wanted, but I suppose if you embrace it, it's amazing what you can do.
Definitely. You certainly seem like an absolutely perfect example of a company that has thrived during this period. Brilliant.
Yeah. I will be mindful of it's been hard. There's so many times you come home on a day, or you wonder, are you doing the right thing? And we've all got people to answer to as well, bosses above us, and you're asking them to trust you that you're making the right decisions. And we get it wrong more than we get it right in life. But I think certainly for our company and our group, we're not afraid to take a risk, and we're not afraid to be exposed. And actually, you can either sit there and kind of wallow in it, or you can get up and do something about it. And I think that's probably what we've done well.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Seàn, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and what you've learned with us. It's so valuable to all of our network, to the people that are in our community, in York and Leeds, other business owners. It's so valuable, and we really, really appreciate it. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Seàn.
Thanks for watching. What was your takeaway from today's interview? Please post it in the comments below, and subscribe for all our upcoming videos, or click for the next video here.